All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Inside Major League Pickleball, where we discuss all the scoops surrounding the hottest professional pickleball league in the game. And this week, it's a spicy epi. Before we get to our amazing guest, a very foundational guest. We wouldn't be here without this guest. Quick clue. But a quick shout out to our sponsors before we get to that. Starting with Pro XR, the official paddle of MLP, the only paddle custom fit for your grip. Knock Around, the official sunglasses of MLP, quality shades that won't break the bank. Or Organic, the official nutrition partner of Franklin, the official ball of MLP. The Franklin X40 delivers the best MLP. Transform your health with plant-based nutrition from Aura. And for in-game flight out of any ball on the market. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome. I'm one of your hosts, Michelle McMahon, former D1 athlete, pickleball aficionado, joined as usual by my counterparts, the two mullets on board, I like to call them, former and pro Olympic volleyballer, future pro pickleballer, Casey Patterson, Father Nature, pickleball fashionista, four-time Survivor contestant, college swimmer. His bio continues to grow. Former pro cyclist Tyson Apostle joining us every week. And now we are thrilled to be joined by the myth, the man, the legend himself, the brains behind the entire MLP operation. Thank you. I know you're a busy man. We've got a lot of news coming on the market, so I know you. He is the founder of MLP, Steve Kuhn. Steve, welcome. We're so thrilled to have you. Been behind of all of that. So let's begin with the news coming last week or last couple.
Yeah. I think to answer that question, first of all, thank you for the very kind intro. I appreciate that. I think before even answering that question, let's go back to first principles. Why did I want to start MLP even in the first place? What was it about? Why was it important to start MLP, and what mattered to me? The reason I wanted to start MLP is I first played pickleball 7 years ago and immediately fell in love with the sport. I told people the next day that someday this was going to be the most played sport in America. I was looked at like I had three heads at that point. And definitely a lot of my... So I'm known for making fairly bold pronouncements. I've gotten some really crazy things right in my career. Things that were incredibly unlikely I've gotten right. I've gotten a lot wrong. So my friends are, definitely sometimes will let me know when they think I'm more on the wrong side. I tell you, I took so much crap from my friends when I said that. Most of them had never heard of pickleball. And I said, look, I just played this. First of all, I had the best time I've ever played. I'm already Googling where to play tomorrow night. The people there, it wasn't a sport. It was a mission to them. I show up without a paddle, without a ball, without knowing the rules, not expecting to be invited to play. I just wanted to go and watch it. And they're like, no, you're playing. You're in. You're one of us now. And I saw that, and I said, this is something special. And I made an analogy at that time. I said that pickleball is to tennis what Topgolf is to golf. And what I meant by that is Topgolf took a sport that's difficult, time-consuming, takes maybe years to master, and they took it and they democratized it. A lot more people can play. A lot more people can have fun. You can do it with your friends. It's not as demanding or exclusive or expensive. They made it. They changed golf into something that was a wider, to talk startup speak, a wider total addressable market. They did that. And that's what pickleball does to tennis. A wider variety of people can play, and they're having fun in the first 5 minutes. Obviously, I run a venue called Dreamland, and a lot of our court rentals are people who've never played before, probably the majority of them, people who are renting paddles from us. And I've never seen anybody not having fun after 5 minutes, and so thousands of times. So I said this was something special, and I told people that as this sport grows, and it's going to continue to grow, at some point I would like to make that happen. I went and did a couple side projects, a couple other projects. I wouldn't say side projects. I spent a couple of years working on clean water projects in Africa with a group called Charity Water, and worked with them for a couple of years. Spent a couple of years in Washington, D.C., lobbying for rational bipartisan immigration reform. By the way, that is the biggest laugh line ever in Washington, D.C., because they say that's three jokes in one sentence. rational, bipartisan, and immigration reform.
Awesome.
You can't have 3 points in the same sentence, but I just did it. So I took a couple of years for both of those projects. And by the way, if you want to know how hard-headed I am, spending 2 years in Washington, D.C. lobbying for immigration reform, you have to be some special sort of crazy to think that that's worth your time. You have to be passionate. You have to be a believer. And I did that. And at some point, I did realize that was, I knew it was unlikely to begin with, but it became even more unlikely. And I said, it's time to move on. Now it's time to take up pickleball. So I looked around the pickleball world and said, what can I do to make this sport grow? And why is it important? And it's important to me because, for me, it was an endless source of joy. It was the most fun thing I did. The year that convinced me that pickleball was important was the 2019-2020 kind of election cycle. If we remember how crazy that election was, I tell people you couldn't be in a Starbucks line for 2 minutes and not know how everyone in that line was going to vote. That's how crazy this was. That's how divided the country was. And I had played hundreds of hours of pickleball with people, and I couldn't tell you who they voted for that year. Like it was the only place that you could get away from it. The only place that people that were probably voting for different people actually got along with each other that year.
That's so true.
And I said, this is important. The sport's going to be the biggest, most played sport in America. It's a sport that brings us together. And this is actually worth my time, not only because I hope to make some money. I do. I'm an entrepreneur. I've invested a lot of my time and money in this. But that alone would not have convinced me to do this. It's because I thought we can get to 40 million players by 2030. And we can make this sport better. And we can make a lot of people's lives happier and healthier. So why Major League Pickleball? Because I thought that an important part to getting more people to play is to show how great the game is at the pro level. There wasn't, to some degree, there still is some skepticism of. So the first skepticism about pickleball was: is it a real sport? Is it just a fad?
Right.
Yeah. I think that one's over. I think that's settled. I don't think anyone rational says that now. I think there are still people that say yes, but it's not a TV sport. People will never watch it. Yes, but. And it's ironic, but the argument they use is nobody really plays football, Steve, or very few people play football, and yet NFL is the most watched sport. Not realizing that is not actually exactly the right argument. Yes, there are sports that people don't necessarily play that they do watch, but there are not very many sports that people play and care about as passionately as people who play pickleball do that they don't watch. One thing might be true doesn't mean the other thing is true.
So true. Yes.
The argument, and it's just a logical fallacy. If we have 40 million people playing pickleball, will pickleball be the most watched sport in America? It'll be the most played sport in America by double. Will it be the most watched? Probably not. Even I won't go there. I won't go that crazy optimistic. Will it be in the top 5? Yeah, I think it will. You know what? The 5th highest. Yeah. I think we're going to be in that category soon. And I think MLP helped convince the world that was true.
Yeah.
That our first event that we held at Dreamland was awesome. It was fun to watch. It was fun to be at. The excitement of the players was different. The players and various players and podcasts said this was the most fun event they'd ever played in. I think we've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think people who watched it said this was the most interesting format that they'd ever seen. And it really changed the sport. Now, I thought that was an important thing to do to help us get to 40 by 30, to help us make this a better and more fun country. We had to show that was true. We had to do another thing, too. We can't just change the sport from the top down. We also had to change it from the bottom up. And later on, we're going to talk about DUPR. I'll tell you what the things I've done since that. But so I initiated 2 projects at once. MLP, let's change the sport from the top down. Let's make it. Let's win the battle that this is a spectator sport. Let's prove that this is. 2, let's also, and DUPR, let's come up with a better rating system that allows you to play more fairly with people. Let's have better formats to play to make the amateur tournament and play experience better. Those were the 2 things that really needed to happen when I looked around the sport. So another thing I said at the time, which is, I got to admit, is full of irony for me a little bit right now, is not just that, for the whole last year, it's been a little bit of irony. As I said, part of the plan is I'm going to bring in investors into this sport, but people who are also famous, because that'll help spread the word. Through their fame, more people will get curious about pickleball, more people will try it. And not only are they good, they bring resources and bring investment, but more importantly, they're going to help us bring eyeballs. And we brought in Brene Brown and James Blake and other great owners to this sport, and I think that worked. I think that was a good thing for the sport. I think it, and obviously we've gone forward on that and added even more team owners. Most famously, probably of all, other owners don't kill me, but probably our biggest one has been the LeBron announcement. I'm going to take crap from the other owners.
Tom Brady is cool.
Tom Brady would be.
Yeah.
He just texted you. It's like, really, Steve? Really, Steve?
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant, yeah.
I'm not worried about Kevin and Tom.
Yeah.
I'm worried about both. But we, that story alone, through various channels, through various outlets that both picked up the story, hit 4 billion eyeballs. And that was a month ago. It might be 5 billion by now. That helped. That really changed the sport. And I think that was a good idea. The problem with that idea is, or at least the initial problem, and we'll talk about why I said the initial problem, is I said that was a good idea, that we would bring, by bringing in these celebrities, we would bring more attention to the sport. We would bring more resources to the sport. We would help raise prize money for the pro players, and that would mean more people would want to play as a pro. I predicted all of this. I called it. I called my shot on this. Some point, I actually have to find this document. I wrote a document to our initial owners saying what's going to happen the next year. It's, again, not very modest today. Sorry.
No, we love it.
No, it's cool. It's true.
It's more modesty, but today is not the day for it, to be honest. I'm you'll understand. Today's not my modest day.
I love it. Bring it all out, Steve.
I think I nailed it. I think I called that. One of the things it did is it brought in, Tom Dundon. I think he saw what we did in season 1, and he entered. And obviously, it's no real secret that at times that relationship was contentious. I don't think that's
It's not a secret.
Revealing anything too secret.
No.
I don't think I'm breaking news with that one. But look what it did. It brought in more money. It brought in more resources. It brought in a team of
players.
More players. It brought in new ways of doing the television broadcasts that were innovative. All these things, and frankly, that competition, if you will, steel sharpens steel is what they say.
Yeah,
and I think it made us both better.
You're both reaching to kind of outdo and see and improve upon what the other one was doing.
Absolutely. And that made us both better. There came a point not long ago, and I'm actually finally starting to get to actually answer the question. This has been the longest preamble to answering your question ever. It got to the point where, looking at what are the goals of why did I start Major League Pickleball? Again, it was to bring more people to the sport. Bring more people to the sport, make the pro life better, and also take this not only to America but eventually worldwide. I think at some point the merger with the PPA and Vibe met those goals more than continuing to have a battle. And look, we all have egos. I'm sure Tom Dundon has one. I'm sure I have one. I'm sure that sometimes those lead us astray. I know it's true for me. I've really battled this year. I used to be a hedge fund manager on Wall Street. I managed a $14 billion fund. You can't have that job and survive without a giant ego. You just can't. You can't do it. I mean, and I left that world because in some ways, while that made me successful, it didn't make me the person I necessarily wanted to be. And so since then, I've really tried to channel and be more modest and be less, have less of that pride. And I think when I look at the situation calmly, I thought this was better for the goals that I originally did this, to have the merger. It was better for the sport. It was better to bring more people to the game, better for the pro players. And then with PPA adopting DUPR, that was a big part of it too, because I think that's really changing the amateur game, and I'm going to talk more about that later. It was time to set my pride aside, if you will. It was coming back a little bit, and this was the right thing to do. So you asked me why we did it. That's why. That was a very, very long answer.
Such an easy answer. Oh,
to a short question.
No, I liked it. We needed that background from you, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without the background, it's hard to understand. I mean,
yes.
This was a complicated year.
Yeah.
This was a trying year.
Totally.
No decisions this year have been easy. None.
And it's been a roller coaster, even watching it. Like, I've covered pickleball in some outlet form one way or another for over a year now. And we've seen, different pro tours get close, then be distanced from each other, then compete with each other, then work together, then not, then say they're going to work together, then also not. And I think fans, for us, it's great to have this. We see PPA, MLP, Vibe working together, and that consolidates it and unifies it for the players, but also for the fans.
It does. And again, I hope people believe me when I say that hopefully every decision I make is based on that goal of 40 by 30, of bringing more people, making the sport better. I legitimately think that is, I know that that's how I make decisions. And to the extent that it looks like, we've changed course or what have you, it's because situations have changed. It's because reality has changed. It's not because our core values have changed. And I hope people believe that, because I know that that's true.
Well, what can we expect from MLP and PPA moving forward? Like, what are some of the things that you're going to start implementing and instituting, and how are you going to work together to build pickleball together? Okay,
so I don't even know where to begin with this, because I want to jump on my seat. I'm so excited about the season to come.
Okay, let's hear it.
Look, again, sorry, I can't answer any question today in less than 20 minutes.
So we got a 2-question episode.
Yeah.
Our prize money season 1 was $250,000. Our prize money season 2 was 1.2. This year we'll probably hit over 4 million. That's a pretty good
incredible
pace of growth
over 6 events.
Over 6 events. Man. So we are, I think we're living up to our goal of making the pro players' lives more lucrative and better. I think we're treating them well. In addition to that, with the new owners that we brought in, with our better ability to tell stories, our better ability to show this on broadcast, then these six events are going to be crazy good. Like, this is going to be the best thing you've ever seen in pickleball. It's going to change things. We've changed the sport. Our first event was just over a year ago. We just celebrated our 1-year birthday.
It's crazy.
The next year is going to be a bigger change than that. We're going to really be able to tell players stories. Yeah, this is almost cliched in sports world right now, but everyone talks about Formula One Drive to Survive. By the way, I'm so obsessed with it. I've watched it now twice.
Same. It's so good.
I'm so into it. Now I never watched the Formula One race before that, and now I watch everyone. I watch replays. I watch. So true. Yeah, I'm all in. That's what we need to do with pickleball, and that's another thing we are going to accomplish this year. We will be telling the player stories in new and better ways, and our partnership with Vibe and PPA will help that. We will. We were both doing that well. We can both do it a lot better, and we can both do it a lot better together.
Yeah,
that's coming. This season will be crazy good. I don't know if we've gone public with a lot of information on exactly how we're going to structure it, but just trust me. as a pickleball fan, I cannot wait to watch. I sometimes joke that I have the maturity level of a 12-year-old, meaning I just do things that I want to do. I created this. The format for next season is what I want to see. It's what me as a pickleball fan wants to see. And it's going to be crazy good. I know that.
I cannot wait. When can you share those details with us?
Yeah, I actually, right after this, I have an internal call on finalizing exactly the structure for next year. I think we'll be public sometime reasonably soon. We have to be. Timelines are coming. The calendar moves forward. This is pickleball time. I say pickleball lives in dog years. Every year, pickleball's at least 7
So
years.
true.
Yeah.
So true.
Again, thinking that our first event was a year ago is completely crazy. It feels like 10. It feels like so much has changed in the sport since then. And I think what we're going to deliver next year for fans, what we're going to deliver for our players, how we're going to change the sport, how we're going to change telling stories about these players, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna crush it. I know that's true.
I can't wait.
I cannot wait, and I know we got a little taste of it. I saw a little something come through, so I'm excited to see how it all comes together. And we've got the draft has to happen soon because the next event is early next year, and all of that's happening. But with this PPA and this MLP merger with Vibe Pickleball, all of those combined with DUPR, APP was not mentioned, was left out, the kind of like the outlier for some reason. And the announcement has been made that UTR, who is Universal Tennis Rating, has partnered with APP for their future. And what comments do you have on that? Is that them trying to do what you're doing?
Boy, how to answer that? Let me just say this: we all stand in the sport. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. Starting with Joel Pritchard. Starting from 1965, and starting from that base. Starting from USA Pickleball, and I remember the first ambassadors I met in Austin, Pam and Toby Boyd, and how they really built the sport. I started an organization 8 years ago called Greater Austin Pickleball to help. We all stand on the shoulders of giants, and APP is one of those giants. They were in early. They were the first pro tour, and I have a lot of kind feelings about people who helped build this sport. What I would say to people is, throughout the year, we've worked together and tried to work together with APP in a number of different ways. Some of those were incredibly positive and successful, and some less so. And I'm not saying that's their fault or my fault, but it got to a point where, frankly, adult decisions had to be made, and it was which one of these things is better for the sport, better for the players, and a decision had to be made. Ultimately, I think there will be kind of one tour and one team event. And if that's going to be true, we had to make a decision on who we were going to partner with, and the decision was made for all the reasons I talked about for 20 minutes earlier. Why I thought that was the best for the sport.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know if I answered that question.
No, you did. So
I might have dodged it a little bit.
Well, it sounds to me like you had to choose between PPA and APP.
It felt like at some point a choice had to be made there.
Yeah.
By the way, there was a day when no one thought that MLP and PPA would have an arrangement going forward, and I won't.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
I never close. I don't want to close doors. I am the biggest believer in win-win.
Mm-hmm.
To talk about to be a little bit of an economics geek. We talk about positive sum games. I believe that people should work together to find ways to make everything better. I think a lot of people in life are trapped in a zero-sum mentality that I can only win if somebody else loses. I just don't believe that. I never have. I still don't believe that about APP. I think there are paths that would be positive to working with APP in various ways. I'm open to that still. I don't know if they are. Maybe they are not. But maybe that changes. Things do change as we've learned this year. That being said, the idea or the announcement or that APP is working with UTR is not my favorite, I would say. That might be the biggest understatement of.
Well, let me explain real quick to people who don't know UTR. If you only know pickleball, you may not be familiar with that acronym, which is Universal Tennis Rating. That is the rating system that a lot of tennis players have used for a long time. They could have done the same with pickleball. They never did. They were very pro tennis. And then DUPR came in to try to come up with a way to rank players universally so that no matter where you go in the world, you know what rating you are, and it's across the board. And recently, very recently, UTR has come in and decided that they want a piece of pickleball.
That's true. And I would just like to tell you that, as hard as I've worked on MLP and as much effort in DUPR is, in some ways, changing the sport from the bottom up is even more important to really making the sport as successful as it should be. The first thing you really need to do in a sport in order to have amateur events that are fair and fun is to have a fair way of putting people in the right category so they can compete and have a chance to win. If you only have open divisions, if you only have open pro divisions, you don't need a rating system. But if you want to have a competition at a 4-0 level that's fair, where you can go to it and feel like you had a chance, you need an accurate rating system. And that did not exist in this sport. When we started DUPR 2 years ago, that wasn't a thing. Less than 1% of pickleball players had ever played even one rated match, much less have enough matches to have an accurate rating. When I started it, there were 2 rated events in Austin, Texas a year. If you missed those 2 and didn't sign up in the first 5 minutes because they sold out in 5 minutes, you didn't get a rating that year. And look at how fast pickleball skills change.
Yeah.
We have players come in who are 4-5s, and next year they're playing on the Pro Tour. Like, that happens in 6 months. We've seen that. To not have a rating system that's able to do that means you can't have an amateur tournament that's fair. You certainly can't have prize money. It would be ridiculous. You just can't do it. And since DUPR started, we have now 125,000 people have a rating. We have over 1 million results in our database. We're used in over 20 countries. We have over 600 clubs signed up. We've innovated with the waterfall event. So my biggest pet peeve in amateur pickleball is the double elimination format. I hate it. I hate it. You show up at 8 a.m. You might be done by 9:30, or you might be there till 6 p.m. You can't know.
It's so bad.
No way you can know. And you can't make a plan for the day.
Well, unless you play your rating way down, then you could plan on being there all day.
If you're a good sandbagger, you're playing till 6 p.m.
Yeah.
If you're not so good, you're playing at 9:30. It was a horrible experience for people. I know people that were, they would play a tournament. They would go to it. They'd lose their first 2 rounds, 11-1, 11-2, 11-2, 11-3, and they'd be done. And they're done for the day. They might have flown to the event. They might have gotten a hotel room.
Yeah.
And they are not coming back. In a double elimination tournament, 25% of the field is done in 2 rounds, by definition.
Yeah.
Another 25 is done in 3. Half the people either play 2 or 3 rounds for the day to an event that they traveled to and got a hotel room. It's a miserable experience. How the sport got there and how it didn't think about, maybe that's not ideal. It baffled me. We needed to change that. So now we came up with a format called a waterfall, where you play in a waterfall event, you play 4 matches in 4 hours guaranteed. You might do that at 8 a.m. If that's not enough of you, if you're a real pickleball junkie, we'll have another quote-unquote tea time at noon and another one at 4 p.m. You can play all 3. You can play one of them. You know your schedule. By the way, you can play with different partners in all 3.
Cool.
All that is a change. That is a massive change. We ran our first pickleball event ever at Newport Beach. We had over, 1,000 people. We had almost $100,000 in amateur prize money. By far, not even close to anything else in amateur pickleball. Yeah. We did that this year. Another thing that we've done this year is we had our first minor league pickleball event, which was competition at the level just below MLP, it was a riot. Literally, to the man and women that played in it, they said it was the most fun event they've ever played in. We have players that played in that who I think will get drafted in MLP because they got exposure through that.
Wow.
That was incredible. We had our first college national championship, and UNC took it down. DUPR's not just a rating. We're also trying to change how the sport works, how amateur tournaments work. You can now go and play a waterfall event and know exactly what your schedule is for the day. You can play in a team event with 3 of your friends and over 2 days have the best time of your life, win, lose, or draw. Like, we've done a lot, invested a lot to make the sport better. Okay, now where I'm going to go from positivity to negativity.
I want to touch on one thing too. Also, for the rec player, the DUPR is very, very advantageous to go in, play, and that way, like, even showing up to a rec court or showing up and playing somewhere you've never been, and then having somebody on the court be like, what skill level are you at? That happens every time you go somewhere new. Somebody asks you your skill level, and DUPR is a tool to have an answer for that question.
Right.
Well, one of the things I say is, and I know this from experience, having started a pickleball club, Greater Austin Pickleball, is a thing that will quickly make a pickleball club not function is if you have 4-0 night and some 3-2 player shows up and says they belong there. They either ruin the experience for everyone there because it's not that much fun, or somebody has to be the skunk at the picnic and go tell them they don't belong.
Right.
In which case, I've seen crying, I've seen yelling, I've seen fighting. And there's no good solution. Either the 4-0 level degrades into something it's not, and the 4-0 players don't want to play anymore, or somebody's got to be that skunk. Now you can throw us under the bus. You can say, hey,
DUPR's the bad guy.
DUPR's the bad guy. We're the bad guy. And that is so important. You need a bad guy.
Yeah.
You need someone where you can say, hey, it's not my decision. It's these,
Right.
I had
this algorithm.
Guys,
I don't know.
I had a friend like that in high school. Anytime I'd get in trouble from my parents, I'd tell him it was Derek's fault.
Yeah, Derek. Yours, I had mine, buddy, was Derek too.
It's not you, it's DUPR.
Derek.
Yeah.
Well, we've made that better for a lot of clubs already. That's a nice thing that we've done. That we've taken the hit there to save others from being.
You've saved a lot of communities from severe drama that I have seen firsthand.
By the way, here's another fun fact. If you ever if a player comes up to you and you're a teaching pro or something in pickleball, and they say, I want you to hit with me for 10, 20 minutes, then tell me what my rating is. Everybody who does that always says 0.5 higher than you really are.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like this
common courtesy. Yeah, exactly.
You can never tell the truth because that person will say that you're a terrible person. You'll never get hired again. They'll start crying.
Yeah.
So it just didn't work. Like you couldn't hire somebody to tell you because if you were a 3.5, they would always tell you you're a 4.
Yeah. Or you hear
your business.
You hear you're a 4-0 in rec play, but a 3-5 tournament.
Yeah, right.
You're like,
right.
those are different.
Yeah.
That's good.
That is true. So we get this. DUPR's done all of these things. They've cemented themselves in the pickleball world as the front runner to a universal rating system for all pickleball players to use worldwide and figure out their rating. And along comes UTR. They partner with APP, and rumors are, or claims have been made, that DUPR has stolen the algorithm from UTR. How do you respond to those allegations?
Well, I haven't heard that directly from anybody, but I have heard that rumor, and apparently others have.
Yeah.
To say that it's ridiculous is to give it too much credit, because you have to understand, again, here's where the modesty is going to probably go out the window a little bit. Yeah. My first exposure to a rating.
Yes.
We're ready.
I was a chess prodigy, At 6 years old, I was one of the best chess players for my age in the country. I had a rating. I could obsess about my rating at 6 years old. I could understand it. I could calculate what my rating would be before I played a tournament based on my results. I could tell you at the end of the tournament what my new rating would be based on the ratings of the players I played and whether I won or lost. I could do that at 6 years old. I'm a competitive board game player. I play all kinds of crazy board games. I'm especially addicted to one called Dominion. So chess uses the ELO rating system. Dominion uses the Glico 2 rating system. I've read the Glico 2 research paper. I understand that system. To say that I live and breathe rating systems is that's my reality. I also ran a quantitative hedge fund. Getting a pickleball rating system is hard. I'm not saying it's easy. I've worked at harder problems. This is and the hard part about getting a pickleball rating system is you just need more data. You just need to know more about different situations, and you need to get more connectivity. How good is that person from the UK? Well, if people in the UK only play each other, we really don't know. It's really hard to tell. A couple of them come over plays the US, or a couple of new people in the US go over to play there. Now we have connectivity, and now we can start to figure these things out. And every day and every week, we work on changing our rating system. The rating system is never the same. We're on version 40. And by the way, I had a meeting this morning with our team on version 41 and how we're going to change it. I'll give you just an example is, all right, I'll ask you a quiz question. Say a team that's a 4.2 rating, two 4.2 players play two 4.0 players. What percentage of the points do you think the 4.2 team will win against the 4.0 team?
I mean, all I have is a guess. I have no mathematical 80%.
No, not even close to that.
50?
It's around 50. It's around 54, 55.
Yeah, I was wrong.
More than 50 because they're the favorite. Around 54, 55. But you only know that by looking at the data. Now, let's say that we thought it was 60% when we started this. That would mean that a 4-2 team playing a 4-0 team that really won only 55%, they would go down in rating because they underperformed our prediction for them. That would mean playing down was always a bad idea because on average you would lose.
Right.
What we look at every day in our data is does playing up or playing down benefit you? If the answer is yes, to either one of those, then our rating isn't right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's calibration. It's looking at data. That's what we do. It's not about the functional form. I can talk about functional forms. I can talk about different ways of doing systems. I can talk about papers about the ELO system and Glico. I can do all that. That's not really what's important. It's actually looking at the data. So the idea that we stole UTR's rating, which is ludicrous and not true in any way, even if we did, it wouldn't be valuable because it would give us the wrong parameters. It's from a different sport.
Yeah.
It wouldn't help us in the least.
True.
We wouldn't know because those answers are different to what different players playing each other are different in tennis. It would be like saying, I'm gonna have a system to give you a QB rating. I stole the QB rating system and applied it to pickleball. It's about the same thing. It is just a ludicrous accusation, and frankly, it's insulting. And I've heard that it's been put out there to the world, and that is not acceptable to me. That is not reality. And you ask me, I try to keep it calm. I try to keep it positive. I do. I really do. And I think I'm better at that than I've ever been in my life. At the same time, that really makes me angry.
It's creating more confusion too.
That should
in
not
the sport.
be said.
Yeah.
It's not true. And I'll leave it. I maybe should leave it there because it's just not. That makes me mad.
Yeah, as it should.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would be mad too. And it's accusing
insulting.
Someone.
I can talk about rating systems for 100 hours. I don't need help. I don't need help from anyone.
Right.
I got the data, and I got a good brain, and I got a great team. That's what I got.
Yeah.
And we've delivered the most accurate ratings ever in pickleball by and getting better every day. Never perfect, always better.
Yeah, the way you guys evolve has been incredible because I've been in early. I signed up for an account so early. I was like, what's this DUPR? This looks rad.
Yeah.
A ranking system? Wait, it's like worldwide? This is what my sport needs more than anything because we got our US, we got our, our semi-pro, and then we got our world tour, and we got our other like foreign, like, regional stuff, and you're trying to combine them all, and it never made sense, and everyone was confused. It was, So I was like, I'm in on this. This is incredible.
Well, let's end on a positive note here, Steve. I know that's infuriating, and we're in the thick of the drama in pickleball, and it's been honestly this way for a long time. I think it's the growing pains of a new sport, and people wanting to get in for the right or the wrong reasons and figuring out how to do things. Once the draft happens, then I guess the teams are going to get together, figure out how to win this first event.
Well, the first event last weekend of January. So
awesome.
I cannot wait. Yeah. Again, let's go back again to where we were.
Okay.
2 years ago, I think total prize money in pickleball at the pro level was less than $1 million.
Yeah.
Next year, between MLP and PPA, we might be as high as $10 million combined.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's the kind of numbers we're looking at. That's 10x in 2 years. That's even faster than the growth of pickleball. We're growing faster than the sport in terms of prize money we're giving to players. That should not be lost on anyone. That's reality. Do I want it to go even higher? Of course. And I think it will. I don't think we're done.
That's so cool.
I think we're just starting.
Yeah.
I think we're just starting.
We've seen some player announcements of people entering, like putting their application in to be part of the draft as players wise. Are there any players that are not scrambling to get an application in?
I probably won't comment on that.
Okay.
I think we have a very large pool of applicants. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. All the top players in the world. Okay. Anything else in closing, Steve?
No. Thank you for going along with my various long answers today. I appreciate it.
No, we love the background on it.
Yeah, and also it's like you are such a humble guy. Like you don't get that out of you ever. And so I think this is a appropriate setting for it, given everything that's going. And it's like, but also like you deserve that credit too, because
that makes you want to fight.
And
those are fighting words.
Yeah,
insulting. So ridiculous and so insulting that those are fighting words.
Yeah. And with just knowing your story to the sport, to what you've created with Major League Pickleball, to your intentions being pure in that you want to make the sport the best possible, to have that almost intention of not derailing it, but it's just it's maddening. And I think it's good that you're able to take credit for the things that you've built, because you have completely transformed the sport that we all know and love. And that's what it's all about, So good for you. I like it. I appreciate it, especially too with your background.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much, Steve Kuhn and
thanks,
Casey and Michelle. Always. If you want to catch up on any of the Major League Pickleball action from previous seasons before we move into 2023, you can check it all out on their YouTube channel. Follow them on all social medias for the latest news dropping, and we will be back next week. See ya.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.